Derby County manager John Eustace has assessed the press today on the course of Derby County versus Millwall. A little bit of chat about the FA Cup draw, as well as discussions in regards to that of their performance from the weekend. Now, obviously for Derby County, there is a lot of work still to do, and they've definitely been very disappointing over the course of the last few weeks. But John Eustace will be hoping that he can turn a corner over the course of the next few days, and hopefully he can get Derby County back to winning ways. And that starts with a game up against Millwall. Now, John Eustace was asked some questions in regards to the FA Cup, if he anticipated a specific team that he wanted or what his intentions were going forward. And John Eustace said that he has a couple of good goals in the FA Cup, but ultimately is not particularly bothered who we play. It's very important that Derby County are competitive against whoever they come up against. Now, he does say that it is a special competition and it's a good opportunity to give players those minutes, and hopefully they can show exactly what they're capable of. Now, it's very interesting listening to John Eustace as we look ahead to the next month of fixtures, where Derby County have four days between each game on average, and it's a very interesting position that we do find ourselves in, because as it stands right now, Derby County have been very poor over the course of the last 3 or 4 games really, and it'll be good to see Derby County turn that around over the course of this Christmas period, because as we know from last year, you can go from hero to zero over the course of a month, as Derby County went from mid-table to bottom of the championship by the end of January last year. Hopefully that does not happen again. Now, John Eustace said that it's part of the championship and he hopes that he can get everybody available over the course of this next period, but he's going to take each game as it comes with the squad of players that he has available and make sure that we get through each game and keep adapting to the way that we are playing. Now, obviously Derby County are adapting, and that's not just because of the way we're playing, but it's also because of the loss of Carlton Morris. Now, John Eustace said that it's his job to adapt and find a way to win no matter what personnel are available. As it stands right now, in my personal opinion, it's not particularly going to plan, but we need to improve, and John Eustace does know that. Now, he says the second half on Saturday was much better, but obviously there needs to be a bounce back from that result, especially considering we've lost 3 of the last 4 games as we head into the next one at Millwall, and that is 2 home games as well, which is incredibly disappointing. Now, there is obviously aims within the group to improve, and it's all about learning about what we can do and how we can benefit from what is going off within the group. Now, obviously we need to learn from Saturday, but we've got to make sure that we don't dwell on it for too long. John Eustace was very keen to point out that we've just got to keep fighting, we've just got to keep competing, and that will be our way to get ourselves into competitive fixtures again, where we're back competing at the top of our game. Now, we can't dwell on Saturday, we have to move on, and with a game every 4 days, this is the perfect opportunity for Derby County to not allow those quick losses to affect us too much. Now, we do have a young and hungry group, but obviously it is a limited group at the moment, and in that same respect, Derby County need everybody to be at it who's involved in the group, whether that be Ebo Adams with the captain's armband, whether it be someone off the bench like Andreas Weimann. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and those players have to be at it. Otherwise, we're going to be in a really difficult position. Now, John Eustace was asked a question in regards to Ben Brereton-Diaz. Now, obviously, some of you will know, some of you won't know, but on Saturday he was cheered off when he got substituted in the second half, and I think this whole line of questioning was probably a little bit scripted, if I'm completely honest. Gave John Eustace the opportunity to back his player for one, and it gave John Eustace the opportunity to also sort of put that opportunity to defend him as well. Now, he said that Diaz's work rate has been great and he's very experienced at this level. With Diaz, he needs that belief, he needs that confidence, and he's been unlucky not to score a few more goals, which I do agree with. I think he has had a couple of opportunities, but it's one of those situations where the Derby County fan base are all for work rate, determination and things like that, but when you're not providing it on the pitch, it's when the Derby County fan base starts to get a little bit frustrated, and I think that's what the situation is at the moment with the Derby County fans. Now, we was given a little bit of a brief update in regards to that of Ryan Brewster. He took part with the group today, but he may not quite be ready for the game on Wednesday. We'll have a video which will have been out earlier on today discussing that situation, because I do like Ryan Brewster. I think he could be a huge part of Derby County for the second half of the season, but ultimately I'm starting to understand why Sheffield United didn't provide him with a new contract over the course of the summer, because at the end of the day I think he's started 3 of 9 championship appearances, and he's not really been available for Derby County to be able to really take advantage of having him in the group. And I think that's sort of the position we find ourselves in. In my personal opinion, if Ryan Brewster had been fit and firing from game 1, Ryan Brewster would be starting over Brereton Diaz right now, but obviously that's just a situation that we've got to deal with. Now, he was asked a few questions, obviously, in regards to Millwall, who we take on Wednesday. He says that they're a well-coached team, they've been together a while, and it's definitely a situation where we have to adapt to this upcoming schedule, which is Wednesday, Monday. But obviously, we're not the only team that's dealing with that. Obviously, I can't remember if Sheffield Wednesday played Tuesday night or Wednesday night, but Sheffield Wednesday are doing something similar. And it's a very, very interesting position we find ourselves in, and John Eustace is key for us to try and get something out of these next 2 games. For me, Derby County have to get 4 points. It has to be a draw on Wednesday at minimum. It has to be a win against Sheffield Wednesday. We cannot be coming away from Sheffield Wednesday with anything less than 3 points for me. And John Eustace hopes that we are sharp enough to be able to compete against all the teams that we come up against over the course of this Christmas period, because it's going to be a busy one and it's going to be a difficult one. Now, obviously, let's get into the injury situation that we've been covering over the course of this season. Max Johnston is back on the grass and progressing well. John Eustace expects to have him back with the group over the course of the next week, which I think sounds very, very promising for Johnston, who I'll be completely honest, I wasn't expecting to see until January anyway. So if we can get him back within the group before Christmas, unbelievable, and he's done really well, really well to get back. Now, obviously, as mentioned previously in this video, Ryan Brewster is back within the group. He trained with the group on Friday and on Monday, and hopefully he can be ready for Wednesday, but it sounded a little bit unlikely with John Eustace in the press over the course of today, so I wouldn't expect Ryan Brewster in the squad, although it would be nice to see that for a little bit of a boost. Now, Lewis Travis, as we know, was back on the grass last week. How far away he actually is, I'm not entirely sure. Wasn't given an update within the press today. And again, David Ozo not given an update in the press today, which is a little bit disappointing. I like to hear about our injured players so that we can see who's fit and available and who's getting closer. But as it stands right now, I'm not entirely sure where David Ozo stands. Now, obviously, heading into the last game, Danny Bart was a little bit of a doubt with an injury that he picked up against Swansea, I think it was, and wasn't involved the Saturday before Millwall, but before Middlesbrough, sorry. But he is back within the group. He didn't play. He was involved on Saturday. Will 100% be involved on Wednesday, so that is a big one. But we'll wait and see sort of how that develops. And obviously, this has been the Derby Digest. We've gone through everything from the press. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. But let's go.